Okay, today what we're going to talk about is we're actually going to talk about what is called the law of cosines. So we did this last time we did the law of sines, and so now we're going to show the other way we can work these problems. So just as a reminder, and we kind of go over as a reminder what we did before. What we did before was the law of sines, and this was what the law of sines was. The law of sines was something we used when we had an angle, a side, and an angle, or an angle, and a side. And what that was A over sine A equals B over sine B equals C over sine C. And what this was supposed to be is for any sort of triangle that we may have. And if you remember, we got our angles A, B, and C, and then the sides opposites. So opposite angle A, the side A, opposite angle B is side B, opposite angle C is side C. And what we did is it allowed us to figure out the other parts of the triangle with only knowing a few pieces. So if we knew two angles and a side, we would use the law of sines. So that was kind of what we talked about a couple classes ago. So what we're going to talk about today is what's called the law of cosines. And the law of cosines is when we have two sides or three sides, when we have more sides than angles. And the formulas, and again, these formulas are on your little half sheet that I gave you. So I provided you this in class. And what we're going to focus on now is we're going to focus on the middle part, the law of cosines. So here's the different laws of cosines. I can figure out sides using the following formula. If you look, a squared equals b squared plus c squared minus this calculation. And so this is one version of it. This is an alternate version. So today what we're going to do is we're going to learn that. And I'm going to be honest with you, it really is a substitution exercise. So here's your forms. These and these are basically the same thing. This one's just solve for cosine A. Now, the rules are going to be different depending upon what we're given. If we're given side angle side, so if we're given two sides and an angle, we're going to find the third side using the law of cosines. So we're going to pick whatever side we're missing, and we're going to do that. So let's take a look at this first one, because this first one is an example of a side angle side. So if we take a look at this, we are given angle C is 110. So it tells me this guy here is 110. So now what I have is I have an angle and I have the two sides on either side. So this is side, angle, side. I'm trying to figure out C. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick this formula because it's the one solving for C. And I'm going to say C squared equals A squared plus B squared minus 2AB cosine of C. And then I'm going to substitute. So C squared equals A is, this is A, 16 across. This is B is 10. So now we have 16 squared plus 10 squared minus 2 times 16 times 10 times cosine C, and cosine C in this case is 110 degrees. And what I can now do is I can put this into my calculator. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up my calculator, type in that expression, and when I do and hit enter, what I'm going to find out is that C squared equals 465.446. And then what I do is I square root both sides, and I'm going to find out that C equals 21.574. So that tells me that this side is 21.574. Okay, now that's figuring out that missing side. Now what I'm going to talk about is how we figure out the missing angle, because we have three angles that we need, or two other angles we need to figure out. And the rule is this: we want to find the smaller of the two remaining angles. So in this case, we still need to find A and we still need to find B. And in this case, which angle is smaller? If you remember correctly, the smallest angle will be opposite the smallest side. So this is going to be the smaller one, that angle B. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find angle B using the law of sines. We'll find angle B using the law of sines. So what angle B using the law of sine says is we're going to do b over sine b equals, and in this case, we need to pick the one we know. We know angle C, we know side C, so we're going to do C over sine C. So this is going to be 10 over sine of B equals C, which is 21.574 over sine of C, which is 110 degrees. And then again, we got that cross multiplication thing going on. So 21.574 times sine B equals 10 times sine of 110 degrees. Divide both sides by 21.574. 21.574. And what we're going to find out is that sine B is going to equal 0.436. I put that expression there in my calculator. Now, if you remember, to free that B, to get rid of that sine, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take arc sine of both sides. Take the inverse sine of both sides. And if I do it to one side, I got to do it to the other. So these cancel out, and this is going to tell me that angle B equals. Type that into my calculator. I find out that this is 25.8 degrees. So I figured out the missing side. I figured out one of the missing angles. So now I know that this guy right here is 25.8 degrees. And to figure out the missing angle, to figure out angle A, I'm going to take 180 degrees and I'm going to subtract what I know. 110 degrees plus 25.8 degrees. Type it into my calculator and I'm going to find out that angle A equals 44.2 degrees. So the way it is you use the law of cosines to find the missing side. Then you use the law of sines to find the smaller of the two angles. And then you use the rule that we know that a triangle adds up to 180 to find that last angle. So that's how we do it if it's a side angle side. So that's the first piece. Now I want to show you what happens if, on the other hand, we're given three sides. So in the case of the triangle like this, we're given three sides. So if you think about it, this is side A, this is side B, and this is side C, always opposite the angles. So this is a side, side, side. And the way that we attack this problem is as follows. We want to go ahead and we want to find the largest angle first. So which angle is going to be the largest? The largest angle would be C because it's across from the longest side. So what we're going to do is we're going to use, instead of using this piece, this helps me with the side, I'm going to use this piece to find the angle. So this formula. I'm going to say that cosine of C equals A squared plus B squared minus C squared divided by 2 AB. And I'm going to plug and chug. Cosine of C equals 8.3 squared plus 15 squared minus 20 squared divided by 2 times 8.3 times 15. Go to my calculator, type in this big old expression in my calculator. I'm going to get the cosine C equals negative 0.426. To figure out angle C, I'm going to take the arc cosine of both sides. I'm going to undo that trig I have. Because when I do that, those go away and I'm left with angle C equals 115.2 degrees. So that tells me this guy's 115.2 degrees. And now that I've done that, I'm going to use the law of sines to figure out another one of the angles, and it really doesn't matter. In this case, I'm going to go and try and figure out what angle B is up here. So I'm going to try and find angle B. And the way that I find angle B is as follows. I'm going to do B over sine B, because that's the angle I'm trying to find, equals, since I know C, C over sine C. I'm going to plug away. B is 15. Angle B is what I'm trying to find. C is 20. And sine C is going to be sine of that angle we just found, 115.2 degrees. We're going to cross multiply. And we're going to left with 20 times sine B equals 15 times sine 115.2. We're going to divide both sides by 20. And we're going to left with sine B equals, go to my calculator, that fraction is going to simplify to 0.679. Arc sine of both sides to undo the trig. So I want to do it to the other side as well. I'm left with angle B equals 42.8 degrees. So now I know that this one right here up in the top is 42.8 degrees. And then last but not least, to figure out that missing angle A, I do 180 degrees minus 115.2 degrees plus 42.8 degrees. And when I do that, I find out that angle A equals 22 degrees. So this is going to be 22 degrees. So yeah, it's a lot of work. It's lots of steps, but it is really a substitution one. So the rule again is to think about this is going back to the front, just so you can kind of see. If you are going to be given more sides than angles, you're going to use the law of cosines. And the way you set it up is first. If you're trying to find that third side, you're going to use the law of cosines to find the third side. Whatever that is, you're going to use whatever formula for the missing side. Then what you want to do is you want to find the smaller of the two remaining angles. So what you want to do is find out what is the shorter of the two sides that you were given. That's what you want to find out. What is going to happen then is you want to then use 180 to find 180 minus to find the third angle. If you're given all three sides, you do the law of cosines to find an angle, and you want to find the largest angle. So whatever the longest side is, that's the angle you want to target. Law of sines to find the second angle, the 180 to find the third. And then just as a review, if you're given more angles than sides, it's a law of sines situation. So today in class, what we're going to do is I'm going to do a couple examples of these, and then we're just going to practice it. And again, a lot of this is practice, practice, practice. So hopefully that helps. Please remember to ask me any questions if you have them. Have a good day.